Playing the role of Emperor Carino tonight is Mark Strong's Dick. Here are my immediate thoughts on episode 5 of Dune Prophecy. Hey everyone, this is Lenny here. So we're just going to get into episode 5 of Dune Prophecy. This episode was titled In Blood Truth, and we are just rolling towards the series finale next week. And this was just another great episode that had a lot of intrigue, answered some questions, and then gave us some more questions. Last week on Dune Prophecy, Desmond Hart basically fire-started his way through about 15-20 people at the High Council Landsrad. Lila is now awake from the agony. We said goodbye to Valya and Tula's uncle. And finally, we found out that Theodosia is a face dancer. And I'm really interested in finding out what plans Valya has to use Theodosia to bring them back into the good graces of House Carino. Just as a reminder, this is a spoiler review and recap, so unless you've already seen episode 5 of Dune Prophecy, I suggest you go back, watch that, and come back here because, child, we got some shit to talk about. This episode of Dune Prophecy introduced a brand new character, Sister Francesca, played by Bollywood actress Taboo. And let me just say, Taboo can get in, and we'll get more into that a little bit later. Sister Francesca is an imprinter, and anyone that follows the Dune universe knows that imprinters are people from the sisterhood that uses seduction and sex and love to form unbreakable bonds with those they are trying to connect with. And just who has Sister Francesca imprinted? Why? It is Emperor Carino himself. And when she shows up at the beginning of the episode and you hear her go, Haviko, you can feel Mark Strong's dick get hard. We also find out that Constantine is Emperor Carino's and Sister Francesca's son. Valya pretty much tricked Francesca to come to Seleucia Secundus to meet with Emperor Carino, really under the guise of getting Emperor Carino to give Constantine a little bit more responsibility in the house. While all this is going on, Princess Inez is giving cut-eye to basically the entire family as Emperor Carino names Desmond Hart as his Bashir. Now, we haven't gotten there yet, but this is really the start of the Sardaukar army that House Carino is going to house, and Seleucia Secundus does eventually become this big militarized planet. We do see that in the Dune movies. Now, this is obviously a show of strength by Carino against his enemies, but at the same time, there is something about Desmond. He seems like he kind of enjoys torturing people a little too much. There's the one scene where him and his posse are going around House Carino and they find Kieran Atreides. And this is a great little moment of suspense because we're thinking, oh shit, Kieran has been caught. But really, Desmond is like, hey, we're looking for insurgents. Want to join up? And there just seems to be a little too much glee in Desmond Hart to rid House Carino of all of his enemies. But in this episode, it is sort of explained the beef that Desmond Hart has with the sisterhood. See, when he was bored, he was basically deserted on Arrakis to basically fend for himself. And who left him on Arrakis to fend for himself? Well, he reveals that it is someone from the sisterhood. This little revelation seems to get Empress Natalia's panties wet as well, as she and Desmond have a heart-to-heart, and she's like, the sisterhood ruined my marriage and my relationship with my daughter, so let's just fuck all of these people up. And then they fuck. Now, Empress Natalia does allude to the powers of Shai-Hulud, the sandworm that swallowed Desmond, and I'm sure we're going to get into more of that as we explore more of the Dune universe. For example, Natalia mentioned the Zensuni Wanderers. They are descendants of the Freemen on Arrakis. Now, Valya's nephew, Hera Harkonnen, approaches Desmond Hart. He apologizes for everything that happened at the Landsrad the last episode because he stepped up at the Landsrad to accuse Emperor Carino of not providing enough evidence about Pruitt's death and wanted to open an investigation. And Desmond Hart's like, that could be seen as treason. But Hera is able to make a really compelling case for Desmond to check out some of the areas where the underground spice shipment may be happening, and that may be where rebel cell activity is also happening. Now, Kieran is privy to everything that's going on with Desmond. He approaches Michaela, who is the undercover sister, who is also a Fremen, and tells her, hey, you need to bounce. But she reveals that she has a lot of detonators, and she intends to give Desmond and his posse a very explosive welcome party. And that's pretty much what happens. Kieran fights off a couple of Desmond Hart's men. At the same time, he notices Michaela has some fight out of her own and notices the blade that she uses, and that just fucks with his mind when he realizes that the person that he's been dealing with all this time for this rebellion is one of the sisterhood. But Michaela is able to activate the detonators to destroy her club. Desmond Hart is able to activate his shield at the last minute, literally giving him plot armor. And outside of this explosion, we see Kieran and Michaela, and Kieran's like, listen, I know you're part of the sisterhood. I know you're about power. I'm not about that life. Don't ever let me catch you ever again. At the same time, when all of this happens, Michaela goes to Sister Valya, and Valya's like, hey, you did a great job. And Michaela's like, yeah, that's awesome, but my club, everything that I worked for, has been destroyed. Valya's like, that's great. Here's a way for you to get back to Arrakis. And Michaela's like, I am not going to betray my people. Of course, Theodosia steps up and she's like, the sisterhood are your people. And Michaela is already over this. She's like, oh, I see that you're already molding Theodosia in your own image. And Michaela tells Theodosia straight up, just watch your back because you don't know what's happening with this sisterhood. It seems like Michaela is already on the outs, and we're starting to see little cracks in terms of the sisterhood falling apart around Valya. And while Michaela and Valya are having their little tete-a-tete, I'm thinking to myself, Michaela, don't be so spicy. I hate myself sometimes. And we've seen poor Constantine fuck up more than once, but he finally has an opportunity to step up. After a bit of tough love from Kieran Atreides and a heart-to-heart with his mother about what his purpose is, Constantine finds the map that Kieran was using for the rebellion, and this sets Constantine off. And Constantine and Kieran have a heart-to-heart. Kieran's like, hey man, I was tough on you, I apologize. And Constantine replies with sort of a Michael Corleone moment where he's like, hey man, you know what, it's all good, I love you for it. And here comes Desmond Hart's men to arrest him. When Inez finds out about Kieran's arrest though, she does not like it. She goes to the holding cell where Kieran is. She performs a little bit of truth sense on Kieran to find out exactly where his heart lies. And he admits that he wasn't able to go through with the entirety of the rebellion plan because of his love for Princess Inez. So clearly she releases him, and what is going to happen when Emperor Credo finds out? What is going to happen when Desmond Hart finds out? Is he going to try to burn Inez? Now, over at Wallach 9, Lila has been brought back to life through the thinking machine chamber that had the spice sprayed all over her. Things are absolutely crazy. Tula enlists Jen to help her out with everything that's happening with Lila. And Jen is also another one of the acolytes that's just about had it with everything that's going on here, with all of the secrecy that's happening. But when Jen finds out that Lila is still alive, things are just crazy. Tula tasks Jen with helping to guide Lila back to the world of the living. But it isn't that easy because Lila, who is still trapped in the agony in some way, is still being controlled by some of the other memories, including Mother Superior Raquella, who possesses her. And honestly, that whole little moment with Mother Raquella possessing Lila was absolutely hilarious because Lila's entire demeanor as this meek teenager completely changes to this dominant force of a woman. Tula, Jen, and Lila as Raquella all collaborate to help out and find out what's going on with Desmond Hart and the threat that he poses against the sisterhood. It seems like Desmond Hart has been able to unlock some sort of airborne pathogen that the thinking machines were able to use during the thinking machine war. And the enzyme that they're studying concentrates in the amygdala, or the fear center. And we all know that fear is the mind killer. And probably the funniest moment in this entire series happens when one of the Mother Superiors approaches Tula to give her the DNA sample of Desmond Hart from Valya, and Lila walks out just completely casual, and the look on this Mother Superior's face is absolutely priceless. And Lila just looks at her, is just like, sup, and just goes back to her business. And speaking of DNA, when Tula gets the sample of Desmond Hart and she runs it through the Sisterhood's genetic archive, we are shocked to learn that Desmond Hart's origins are part Atreides and part Harkonnen. And really, based on what we have seen in this series, that could only mean one thing, and that is Desmond Hart is Tula's son. What the fuck? But yeah, this episode was all the way live. I love all the performances. The story has ramped up so much. The stakes couldn't be higher. I want to see what's going to be next in terms of Valya's next play and move to get back into the good graces of House Carino. What is Desmond Hart's going to do now that we know that he's Tula's son? How is all that going to affect everything? What is going to happen with Princess Natalia and Desmond now that they're betting each other? What is going to happen now that Emperor Carino and Francesca are back fucking like nothing's changed? Ooh, Javico. But yeah, this episode was a high blockbuster for me. This show has hit the ground running. I am loving all of the developments. The stakes couldn't be higher. I just want to see how everything is going to turn out. We got one episode left. I sort of hope this isn't the end of Dune Prophecy. I want to hear an announcement that a season 2 is coming because I love the fuck out of this show. But those are my immediate thoughts and feelings on episode 5 of Dune Prophecy. What did you guys think of the episode? Share your thoughts, leave your comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you can get notifications as well. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.